Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you a full coverage, long wearing, drugstore flawless foundation routine. Let me just say, I love these products. I can't remember the last time that I did a foundation routine, but these products are seriously just amazing and they've inspired me to make this video again. These are like OG YouTube videos and I love like just really laid back videos like this, and I've been doing a lot of like first impression testing new makeup videos, so I figured we could kind of just take it down and bring it back old school and just do a traditional foundation routine. You're going to be hearing about a lot of these products in an upcoming favorites video, so be on the lookout, but I figured we would just focus on the skin today and just chat and transform this face. Eye makeup is cool and everything, but for me the base is really what brings everything together, and I love watching when people do their foundation on camera. So yeah, I also feel like this foundation routine could work for a lot of different skin types. So I have combo skin, so my forehead is like the main oil spot on my face and everywhere else is pretty normal to dry. But on the spectrum of really dewy and really matte, all the products that I'm going to be using kind of fall right in the middle, especially the foundation and the concealer. So I'm hoping that this video could be of help to many different people out there who have both oily and dry skin or normal skin. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, don't forget to grab a snack and let's just go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so my skin is nice and prepped. I already did like my usual skincare routine. I moisturized and everything, so now we can jump into priming. So I'm gonna start off with my e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I did a full wear test and review on this versus the Tatcha primer, and this is in fact a dupe. I absolutely love this. I've been using this nonstop, and honestly you can't even tell because there's still so much product left, but yeah, I use quite a bit of this. I use more of this primer than really what you're supposed to, but I feel like that's just kind of what works best for my skin, and this primer is everything. First of all, it's only $8, which is insane because it's literally a dupe for the Tatcha one, which is $52. I never thought I was going to be able to find a dupe for that because I am like ride or die for the Tatcha one. Like, it's so good. But if you don't want to spend that much money, this honestly is like the same exact thing. This is a spot on dupe and I really love it. I haven't seen this in stores yet, but I guess that really just depends on where you live. I ordered this one online on e.l.f.'s website and it's so worth it. So I know a lot of people don't really like to shop online, but with this primer you should make an exception because it's just really good. Fills in your pores, makes your makeup last all day or night. Use however you think that you need for your face. Like I said, I like to use a lot just because I feel like that's when the primer really has the full effect and everything just goes on so much better. Then I'm gonna go in with my Wet n Wild Photo Focus Coconut Primer Water. You can use this before your makeup, after your makeup, to touch up throughout the day. This is just perfection. It's so nice. I always like to spray it first just to make sure it's good, but I'm running low. I already went through one of the cucumber ones and one of the rose water ones. I like the coconut, but it is a very like sweet scent. It's not too overpowering, but you can definitely smell the coconut. So if you're not a huge fan of super sweet scents, I recommend the rose or the cucumber. I personally really love the rose one. I think that one's my favorite, but they're all amazing. They all like do the same thing. The primer water for me just prevents my makeup from looking or feeling cakey throughout the day. It makes my makeup last longer and just it keeps it really fresh and healthy looking on the skin, which I'm all about, of course. So these are the bomb diggity. Okay, now for foundation. I cannot put this foundation down. I mean, I have been using some other ones like high-end ones and other drugstore ones that I really love, but this one is just everything. I don't know what it is, but I can't put it down. So this is the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation, and I have mine in the shade 460. I don't know why my hands are shaking. I guess I'm just so excited, but I still have the same bottle from like 2 months ago when I first did a first impressions on this video, and I don't know what else to say about this foundation other than the fact that it is amazing. I love the coverage, love the shade range, love the finish of it. Everything about it is just amazing. So I'm just gonna be applying this everywhere, of course. And this has been another favorite of mine, this Wet n Wild Beauty Sponge. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I actually saw a lot of the new Wet n Wild products at Walmart. So definitely check out your local drugstores because they even had this sponge there. It's like $4 or $5, I think. Can we take a moment and just look at the skin? I love it. I love this foundation more than the Pro Glow and the Pro Matte. The Pro Matte is matte. Like, that's definitely a super matte foundation. Pro Glow gives you a really natural, glowy look. It doesn't have any glitter or anything in it, but this one is just very natural and fresh on the skin. Like, it's just so pretty. It has really nice natural medium coverage. So it's not like overly full coverage, but it's also not sheer. I have used this both with a brush and with a sponge, but ever since I started using this Wet n Wild sponge, I just feel like it looks so flawless. So with the foundation, I really like to press the product in, and you want to make sure that when you're doing this, your sponge isn't overly wet, because if it's overly wet, then it's just not gonna work. Don't do that. Just make sure that you're like wringing it out underneath the sink, and then just pounce the product in. This sponge is really nice too because it doesn't absorb any of your foundation, but it just kind of presses everything in to the point where it kind of looks like your skin. Like, it doesn't look cakey, and it just looks very natural. And I say natural with quotes because obviously you can tell I'm wearing makeup, but it's not like, oh my god, you're wearing 10 pounds of foundation. Like, it's just so pretty. Like, my skin is not the greatest right now. I am breaking out a little bit, but that's okay. Now, speaking of L'Oreal, I have a concealer from them that I've also been loving. So this is their Infallible Full Wear More Than Concealer. And this one I have in the shade 365 Cashew. I love this big ginormo applicator. Like, it's my favorite. It's kind of like Tarte Shape Tape. And I'm just gonna take this right on the sides, underneath my eyes. I used to drag my concealer like huge triangles, but I just feel like it's just so much product that you just don't really need to use. So I kind of just do a little bit. I mean, this is still a lot, but compared to what I used to do, actually, I don't even know why I'm highlighting with this, because it's kind of like the same color as my skin tone. It's just a habit. I'm gonna take a lighter shade of the concealer. This one's in 360 Cashmere to highlight just a little bit right on the high points of my face, my chin, around my mouth, and then I'll do like a little bit right underneath there, and then of course right in between the brows. If you use a lot of concealer underneath your eyes, try to just do this technique, because if you just apply the concealer right here, and then when you go in with a sponge and you blend it out, you're kind of blending the product throughout the rest of the under eye area. So when I started doing this, I'm like, wow, this saves me a lot of product, and I don't go through my concealer as quickly. So that's why I like doing that. This concealer is very full coverage, and I really also like the new e.l.f. one. The only thing is, I like the shades in the L'Oreal one versus the e.l.f. one. Like, the e.l.f. concealer is also really full coverage. I feel like the formulas are very similar, but the undertones are just a little peachy, which, I mean, I can still make that concealer work. I still really like it, but if you are having a hard time finding your shade, I would definitely check out the L'Oreal one. So I like to blend the concealer, and then I will take a smaller brush and just blend in the inner corners. I always like to do that because the brush or the sponge can only do so much. If you need any extra coverage, you can also just use the concealer for it, so you don't have to go in and add more foundation if you just don't want that much product on your face. That's what I like to do. Like, these little blemishes that I had there, I kind of just went over top of those with concealer. You already know, this e.l.f. Flawless Concealer Brush is just that. It's a flawless concealer brush. So I will go in and kind of like pack the concealer in and just blend it out. Also right in between my brows. And right underneath my eyes, just like that. This brush is just really nice for getting into really small areas. So before I set underneath my eyes, I like to let the concealer sit for at least like a minute or two, just so that it will settle into my fine lines. I know that kind of sounds weird, but if you set right away, you're just gonna be kind of making your concealer crease. Whereas if you let it sit and then you blend out the creases, you're not gonna be setting any of your creases. So right before I set, I will look up, make the ugly mascara face, and then just blend out any creases that I have, and then we set. This isn't really a surprise. My Collab Ultra Fine Loose Setting Powder is my holy grail to this day. I have yet to find a powder that is this flawless for this price. I know that this is technically not at the drugstore. You can find this at Sally's Beauty Supply. I did a whole video on like my favorite affordable translucent powders, but this one is just something that I just always go back to this. Like, I'll use other translucent powders and then I'm like, nothing really beats this. It's smooth. It makes your skin look porcelain. It doesn't give you any white cast. It is perfection. So I have this one in the shade Porcelain Ivory. I don't even know why I'm looking at the cap, because honestly I have this powder memorized. But I also really do like the white cap one. This one has a slight yellow undertone to it. So I mean, I love them both. They both have the same finish and everything, but I just prefer this color for me right now. I think I'll like this more when I'm a little bit tanner, but they're both amazing. Just a little FYI. I'll just take the translucent powder right onto the sponge, and then I like to, let me blend these out a little bit more. I like to set from the outer corner of my eyes to the inner corner. I feel like that helps with excess creasing as well. And as I'm setting, I'm pressing the powder in, but I'm also blending it out because I don't really personally like to bake. So you see, kind of just blend it in with the rest of my makeup. Then I am taking some more translucent powder. I'm gonna just set the rest of my face. If you have never set your powder with a sponge, you are missing out. It gives you this finish that I just can't even describe. Like, it just looks like the powder is just like naturally on your face. Like, I don't know, it's just so nice. And I think if you have dry skin, I mean oily or dry skin, but I think especially if you have dry skin, definitely try this technique out, because sometimes I find with some of my dry patches before, whenever I use lots of powder with a powder brush, it just kind of clings onto those areas more, whereas with a sponge, it just feels a little bit more lightweight on the skin, but my makeup is still nice and soft and it's set, which is what we're going for, of course. Okay, this next step for me isn't something that I always do, but if I know that I'm gonna be wearing my makeup for like a long period of time, I will go in with this. If I'm in a rush, I usually don't do this, but today, we're not in a rush, we're good. So I'm gonna use my LA Girl Pro Face HD powder, and this one is in Creamy Natural. I'm gonna use this Royal and Langnickel powder brush. You can get this brand at Walmart. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just press this powder in onto the rest of my face. Now I know I just powdered my face. You're probably like, why are you doing all that? You're gonna be cakey, but this is gonna kind of add like an extra layer of protection on your face, which I know that sounds crazy, but it's just gonna help your other products to go on a lot smoother. It's gonna make your makeup last longer, and it's gonna add a little bit more extra coverage. Since I only use one layer of the foundation, I can get away with this. If you do too many layers of your foundation, I don't recommend going in with too much powder, obviously, because then it's just gonna be a little cakey. And I'm doing packing motions because I really want the product to be pressed into my skin. If you're kind of in a rush and you just want like a quick dusting, obviously just dust the powder and use like a larger brush, but I really want everything to be settled in nicely, so I'm gonna press everything in. All right, now we can go ahead and bronze and contour the skin. I usually like to cream contour if I'm doing like something a little bit more full coverage as far as like the eyes, like if I'm doing a heavy glam look. But on an everyday basis, I usually keep it really simple, and I also really enjoy cream contouring on days when I'm doing something a little bit more minimal, or like in the summer. I think it's really pretty, but for today, I'm just gonna stick to powder contour. I'm gonna go in with my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I just can't not use this. I was watching Hanny Bakes on YouTube. I love her videos. I've raved about her before, but she always uses this bronzer, and I always use it too. And she's like, you know, if something's not broken, don't fix it. And I agree. I mean, I do have some other bronzers that I really enjoy, but I don't want to bore you guys, so I'm gonna save those for another video that I have very soon coming to you. But for now, I'm just gonna use this because this bronzer is kind of just like safe for me. I know it works no matter what. It's amazing, so I'm gonna just use it, and this one is in the shade Deep. I'm gonna use an e.l.f. pointed powder brush, and that's exactly what it is. It's like a powder brush, but it's a little bit pointed, and I'm just gonna tap off the excess and just start bronzing the skin. It's just perfect. It's just a perfect bronzer. And I believe they have some other newer shades as well, which I'm so happy about because it's just an amazing bronzer. And I use this bronzer, it's weird because I like to use it like now that I'm pretty light skinned, and then also in the summer when I'm much tanner. So like it's really universal for me, which is nice. I'm gonna take another one of these Royal and Langnickel brushes. This one's just kind of like more of a domed, rounded brush. And I'm gonna use my Kokie Cosmetics Powder Contour Palette. This one is the universal one. I believe they have a cream one and like a darker one as well, but the universal one is kind of like the Kat Von D Shade and Light. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this color and this color, which are the two lighter ones. And I'm gonna use this to add slight contour. Just a little shadow to that area. I love this palette, it's very pigmented, so be careful with it. I'm also gonna take any excess product that I have and just apply that right down the sides of my nose. I'm not an expert with cream contouring, but especially the nose still gives me such a hard time. So I kind of just take this, and I feel like, I don't know if it does like a huge thing for me. In my mind it does, and I like just doing it with this brush because it's not like super unnatural, whereas like times where I go in with like a smaller brush like this, I feel like you can kind of just see the two lines there. So I like to just kind of do this, and yeah, whatever. Also right below my lip. Going back with the translucent powder, I'm gonna just clean that up a little bit. And then I'm going to use a Wet n Wild blush brush. Well, I use it for blush. It's like more so like a stippling brush, but I love it. I'm going to use a combination of two of my all-time favorite blushes. I have so many favorite blushes. Let me know if like a blush video is something you guys are interested in. I love blush, but I feel like it's kind of boring. It's not really something that a lot of people talk about on YouTube. Anyways, these Burt's Bees blushes are incredible. These are comparable to Anastasia. If you guys are familiar with that formula, this reminds me of them so much. They're really long wearing and soft on the skin, and they just give you like that really beautiful flush without being too unnatural. So my favorite shades are Toasted Cinnamon and Bare Peach. Okay, so Bare Peach is over here. Obviously it's more peachy, and Toasted Cinnamon is a little bit more on the bronzy side. I would never use this personally as a bronzer, but I just love both of them together. They're perfect. I'm going to literally just dip into both. And when I apply my blush, I like to apply this in circular motions, and I like to bring it up towards my bronzer. Kind of just meshes everything together. When you blend it upwards, it just prevents you from having like those two circles right here on your cheeks. So I like to just kind of go upwards like that. And then I'm going to use that powder brush that I was using earlier, and I'm going to clean up that powder that we have under there. That's the only time that I necessarily bake my face, because it doesn't ever get cakey or anything, but like under here and everywhere it's just too much. Okay, so sometimes I feel like my face looks slightly darker than the rest of my body because I like to use a lot of bronzer. So whenever that happens, I don't really like to apply foundation all the way down to my chest. I don't like it. I feel like it's honestly a waste of product. So I just take my bronzer, whatever bronzer I'm using that day, and my e.l.f. 101 brush, and I will just bronze my chest. And I kind of just take this and just drag it. I also will do my ears. I hate applying foundation to my ears. I just don't like it. So I just stick to bronzer in that area. And this is kind of just like my little trick. And this brush is perfect. I feel like it just kind of disperses the bronzer really, really nicely without leaving it looking splotchy. It kind of just looks very natural and meshed together, which I love. Also, I feel like I always have to address this or mention something every time I do like a foundation video, because there's always at least a couple people who message me or ask me about this. So I have a big neck. I don't have anything wrong with my thyroid. I'm totally healthy. I've gotten actually it checked before, because when I gained weight, this area just seemed really, really inflamed, but it's just because whenever I gain weight, my neck gets fat. Obviously, if you look back at older videos, it might not look like as much because I used to be thinner back in the day, but whenever I gain weight, it just gets bigger. And you know, obviously I'm trying to lose weight and everything, but I feel like just naturally my neck, it's just like that. And then the lines on my neck are also just, they're there. They've always been there. So that is what that is. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right, now for the fun part, highlight. This is very personal preference. Do this to your liking. So obviously the point of highlighting is to highlight the high points of your face. But what I like to do is with my highlight, I like to kind of apply a little bit on my cheeks, a little bit up here on this area, because when the sun hits, it just looks so pretty and glowy and fresh, and I'm here for it. I just realized I use all drugstore makeup brushes. I did not do that on purpose. I was trying to find a lot of the clean brushes today, and a lot of those were drugstore. So I told you guys, like in my everyday makeup routine, like even when I'm not filming, I just naturally gravitate more towards affordable and drugstore stuff. I don't know why, I do. I mean, of course I have my favorite high-end palettes and stuff like that, but Drugstore will always have my heart. So I just used this new e.l.f. highlight, and this one is in 24 karat gold. I mean, can we just talk about this highlight? It is just everything we need in a highlight and more. I switch up my highlights also depending on the look. I still love those Makeup Revolution quads that I was raving about before, but when I first used this like a few days ago, I was like, yeah, this is amazing. So I'm gonna take this and plop it on the cheekbones, and I'm gonna use this Decay highlighting brush. I will leave it down below, it's from Amazon. So I like to just kind of take the highlight, swirl it around on like that like cheekbone area, and then bring it upwards. This is a very wet highlight, so if you don't like really intense glows, you're not gonna like this. But it's pretty. It's so pretty. I'm also gonna take this right down at the bridge of my nose. I know a lot of people don't like the highlight right here on the tip, but I like it. A little bit right above the lip. And I also really love a chin highlight, which if you have super oily skin, I don't recommend doing this. My skin on my chin is pretty like normal, but I really like it whenever I'm like taking photos or something. I just think it looks really pretty. I just love this glow. It's so pretty. It's like a champagne color. Okay, then this is key. So sometimes obviously I go overboard with my highlight. So I will take my blush brush and kind of just run through that highlight once again. Going in with a duo fiber brush like this, it's not gonna add more coverage to your face and make it look cakey, and it's also not gonna take away from any makeup that you have in that area. So I just kind of run through it pretty lightly, even above my brow as well. Now I'm gonna do 2 different sprays because I'm extra and just like, why not? So I'm gonna go back into the Wet n Wild Primer Water, the coconut one, and I'm gonna spray my face. Oh, it's running low. So once I spray that, and also if you want a really intense glow, like maybe if you're going out or something, you can spray your face. There's Bernard. Okay, so what I was trying to say before Bernard interrupted. So rude. Just kidding. If you really want an intense glow, you can spray your face and then add more highlight. On an everyday basis, I don't do that. I mean, it just obviously depends on the type of eye look and stuff that I'm doing, but for today, it's not really anything crazy. But I think that's a really good trick if you're ever going out, or you know you're gonna take pictures and you really want your glow to stand out. That's something that you could do, or you could spray your brush and then apply it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and finish up my eyes, add some lip color, and then I'm gonna go back and set my makeup with another setting spray that I have been loving. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I just finished up the rest of my makeup. Of course, I will leave all the details down below in the description box. So since I did set my makeup earlier with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Spray, I don't always have to do this step, but if I really want my makeup to last and if I just don't want to like be touching up and stuff constantly, I will go in with more setting spray, but it's totally optional. The Wet n Wild spray does a really good job at melting the product into the skin really nicely, and it does prolong my makeup application, but I really love this spray because it is a little bit more on the matte side, so I like to focus a lot of this on my forehead because that is the main oil spot on my face. I will spray a little bit more on the rest of my face just to really lock that makeup into place and make it last. So this is the Milani Make It Last 16-Hour Wear Setting Spray. They also do have a regular version as well, which I love. I just don't have any of that spray at the moment. I've used so many bottles of that. That one is like one of my holy grails, but this one I really have been loving it. So shake it up, spray the face. I always spray it out just to make sure it doesn't like shoot out at my face really aggressively. Now the key to setting your makeup is you don't want to make any like sudden facial expressions. By facial expressions, I mean like you don't want to be laughing or smiling or anything, because then obviously your face is wet, so it's going to settle into any lines on your face. So you just want to keep a serious resting bitch face. I always say this, but it's the truth, and just let the makeup dry really nicely. And that is it. All right guys, so that completes my full coverage, long wearing, flawless drugstore foundation routine. I really hope you enjoyed it. I have been loving so many of these products, some of them a little bit longer than others, but loving them nonetheless. So I really hope you liked it. I hope it was helpful, hopefully. As always, I will leave all the products and brushes that I use down below if you are interested in any of these, and that is it. Don't forget to leave me your favorite go-to products for a flawless looking face down below, drugstore or high-end. I would love to hear from you. And also don't forget to subscribe. I upload 3 new videos every single week. Thank you guys so much for everything. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye.